Tonight on Top Dogs, Rael Levitt sold his first property in between studying for matric. A good start became a great career and the proud owner of the title, Mr. Auctioneer. Dr. Anam Kokong's passion for community health grew to a multi-billion rand company built on giving power to the best and the brightest. Gideon Novick loves the battle. Extreme odds and innovation fuels him and his green machines.
Good evening and welcome to Top Dogs. For most people, the teenage years are more about fun than responsibility, but Rael Levitt has turned what started out as a fascination with property into a multi-million rand auction business.
Rael Levitt led a double life at university. The jeans and khakis law student donned a suit and became a super salesman. A visit to an auction was his aha moment that led to founding Auction Alliance.
You were selling property at 17. What got you started so young?
Well, I mean, I was a bit of an old soul, so I've always started everything quite young. And my mother was an estate agent when I was a teenager. And I used to schlep along with her in the car and used to go watch her and selling houses. When I finished school at the age of 17, before I started university, I used to drive around with my learner's license, and I sold my first house when I was 17.
When did you first realize that property was going to be your thing?
Yeah, I mean, I always liked property, and you know, when I was at school, I used to sort of daydream, and I used to like write down the little notes about properties I'd seen, and I really had a keen interest in it, and I really understood the property side of things. You know, later on when I went to university, I used to go in my jeans and khakis to university, and I'd always keep a suit and tie in my car, and I'd change at university and go out. So I gave the impression that I was a little older than what I was, and I've always been a big reader. I believe leaders are readers. I always read about property. I knew it was going on in the market. I had a good knowledge of property, even at a very young age.
Shortly after that, you bought your first property?
Well, while I was busy selling homes, I suddenly realized, in fact, that the man who writes the check and calls the shots. And I realized that it was a good time to buy property. That was a time when interest rates, in fact, in South Africa had gone up to 25%. There were a lot of repossessed properties on the market. And I found a property at a low price, and I bought it. And that was when I was 19.
And how did auctioneering come about then?
I'd started studying law at the University of Cape Town, and at the end of lectures every day, which I'd organised quite well so that I could get out of lectures and get down to my home, which I was renovating, and I was selling at the same time. I was doing both. And while I was at the property one day, busy with the renovation, a gentleman drives past. This guy was looking for a particular place because he was on his way to do an auction. And this chap turned out to be the sheriff of the court. Of course, I had no idea what a sheriff of the court was, and I'd never been to an auction before. I went to this auction and I was like, wow, that's an interesting industry. From that moment, I was hooked. I've been and I've conducted thousands and thousands of auctions from that day.
You started your business at only age 20. There must have been quite a few naysayers out there.
Well, I mean, of course, you know, I think when you start somewhere and you start in a new market and a new industry, there are always going to be people who are going to be competing, and they think that you're coming into their market. When I started here in Cape Town, a lot of people said, oh, he's never going to make it, he's coming into in a sort of an industry which is quite well established. Of course, for me, that's always what fueled me.
What are the values that made you the success you are?
For us, passion, excitement, constant learning are really key values to our organisation. And then most importantly in an auction industry is honesty and integrity, which really lies at the foundation of everything that we do.
People have this very negative perception about auctions and auctioneering. Have you, over the years, tried to change that?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, in South Africa in the 1980s and 90s, auctions really did get a negative perception, and a lot of it was because of auctions were for bankruptcies and deceased estates. But from get-go, it really was my passion, ambition, vision, and mission to change auctions to become a first-choice method of sale, and to sort of change that stigma of being the last resort and the undertakers of the business world.
How does the local auction scene, if I may call it, compared to abroad?
Well, that's been the amazing thing. South Africa really was behind the curve, and today we're ahead of the game. I've been to auctions all around the world, and let me tell you that auctions in South Africa are up there in international standards as an internationally growing, exciting and dynamic method of transaction.
A lot of us know auctioneers to have that fast-talking voice. Can you?
I can chant, yes. In fact, I learned to chant in the shower. I used to count the tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I do know how to chant, yes.
Let me get that fast-talking voice.
125, 35, 45, 75, 75. That's I can chant. 7, 10 again. We're going to 10. Looking at price on 1.2.
2 million rand. Sold and confirmed to you, sir. 10.5 million rand. Give him a round of applause.
A lot of youth think they need to be much older to start a business. Clearly that's not the case, but what does someone need?
You know, we're living in a world where the President of the United States is a young guy, where the Prime Minister of England is in his early 40s. So today you can do things younger. We're living in an environment where people mature much quicker. And I really do believe that you can go out there and make it happen at any age. And business isn't really age denominated. I think with age comes wisdom, and with age comes experience. But certainly the dynamic, youthful energy is something which really can drive organizations. And so many great companies in the world have been started by young people.
Running a company has been known to be quite taxing. How do you get away from it all?
Well, I think after a while you get into momentum and you learn all the little tricks. I started running, in fact, and I find running is a great tension reliever. And you must have fun and laugh and enjoy yourself, because people spend more time at work than they do at home, or most people do, that is. And I think if you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself, then really the tense parts and the difficult times really sort of melt away. So I try to do it, and we have a good laugh and we have a bit of fun, because then you're really enjoying yourself.
Property and then auctioneering was clearly your passion then. Is it still the case?
You know, always from a very young age, I always promised myself when I stopped having fun, when I lost that passion and that edge and that excitement, I would stop doing what I'm doing. And it hasn't happened yet. I mean, I love what I do. I'm enthralled about the industry. I still believe that I'm still changing the model. I love living in the country. I love doing business as it stands. And I really, you know, in a long career, it's very, very seldom that I go back and I say, oh, I don't like doing this, because I will one day when I felt that it's enough, I will stop. But I love it, and I'm passionate, and I wake up excited every morning, and as long as I'm doing that, I'll be here.
And 790,000 rand. Let's go. Let's go. Sold to this gentleman at 785,000 rand. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
After the break, Dr. Anna Mokhukong has made South Africa proud by being voted one of the leading female entrepreneurs in the world.
Proud to have that special ingredient. Proud to be South African.
Over the past 2 decades, women's involvement in business has made great strides for the better. One of the most notable contributors to this tide is entrepreneur, mother, and medical doctor, Dr. Anna Mokhukong.
She's the executive chair of